The first thing we are going to do is create the Windows Server 2019 virtual machine. This will be the domain controller, and it will also be where we house Active Directory. You can choose to slow down the video to see all of the steps I do, but I'll be fast forwarding through some of these steps. Also, the download links for the ISOs will be in the description down below. They are very simple to download and should be pretty self-explanatory. However, I'll make a video on how to download these if you guys need help. For this next step right here, we will need to create two adapters. The first adapter will be used to connect to the outside internet, and the second adapter will be used to connect to the virtual private network that we are basically going to connect to. This is also going to be considered our internal network, which is what we are going to select. Now for the Windows Server setup, I won't be talking through it. Just follow along and pause the video when you need to. Just to give you guys a heads up, for all of the fields that require a password, I will be using password 1 as my go-to. This will make things a lot easier to remember. Now we need to mount VirtualBox Guest Edition so that our display and how things move around could just be a little bit better. Before we restart our computer, we need to rename this PC to DC so we don't have that weird default name that Windows gives us. And DC stands for Domain Controller, if you're wondering. I forgot to mention that we need to configure our static IP address to the internal network. The way to know which one needs to be changed is that you'll see in a pip address. We also need to rename both of these adapters so that we can tell the difference between the two. Remember, the static IP address for the internal network will be 192.168.0.1, and you should fill in the same IP address where it says preferred DNS server. We will now add Active Directory onto the server. Hit next until you get to the server roles and select Active Directory Domain Services. Then keep hitting next until you get to the part where it says install. Once it is finished installing, click on the yellow flag in the upper right hand corner. Then click on the blue words that say promote this server to a domain controller. The first thing you should do is click on add a new forest. You can put whatever name you would like for the root domain name. However, I will be choosing mydomain.com. Then type in password 1 for this section like I've mentioned before. After that, you should keep hitting next until you see the install button. Once this whole process is done, your system should automatically begin to restart. Now we are going to create an admin account with your own name, if that makes sense. So for this account that I am making, I'll be putting my first and last name and giving it admin privileges. The next step we will be doing is adding remote access and NAT in the add role section. Once we click next a few times, you should check off the first two boxes you see. After a few more clicks, you will see another installation button for you to click on. Now just wait a few minutes for that to download. Once it is finished, we are going to click on the tools in the upper right hand corner and select routing and remote access tab. While we are in this section, we want to click on the DC local tab and then select the network address translation portion for this part. Also, for this part, we're going to be clicking on the DHCP one, and that should be it. One of the last few things that we're going to do is select the DHCP server. That's what we're going to be adding. And then just hit next a few more times, and then that should be it for this little portion. After that has finished installing, we are going to click on tools once again, but this time we are going to select the DHCP tab. Once you are in the tab, you're going to want to right click on IPv4 and then select a new scope. This is where we are going to be adding our DHCP scope that you saw earlier in the beginning of the video. For the IP address range, we are going to put 192.168.0.100 for the start and 192.168.0.200 for the end IP address. So anything in between these two numbers is going to be our range, meaning the client computers could get assigned any of these numbers as long as they fall within that range. For our default gateway, it is going to be 192.168.0.1. Every other section that is coming up now, we could just continue to hit next, next, next until it closes out. Once you see the IPv4 range icon turn green, then you have successfully configured all of the tasks that we needed to do for this video.